Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be going over Massive or Use Massive and how they were able to grow to 2 million ARR by building Tinder for jobs. It's basically a swipe and apply platform or a job application platform that applies to hundreds of jobs for you using AI in minutes. And so what we'll go over is their initial story, their onboarding and paywall insights, as well as their marketing strategy. And also what I would do differently if I were to scale this to 300 or 400K MRR. And then, of course, how you can implement this into your own business as well. So yeah, if you don't know me, my name is Aron. I help SaaS companies scale. And so if you're interested in working with me, then feel free to book a call down below. So who are Massive's founders? The founders are Dan, who does the marketing and is the face of the brand, and Rohan, who does the coding or the CTO. I unfortunately couldn't find Rohan's last name, as he seems not to be on social media a lot, but Dan is a pretty interesting guy. I watched some podcasts with him, so yeah, I think you'll find some insights in the breakdown I did of him and his app. So their mission is to make job search effortless, and their stats are pretty impressive. You know, they've sent out 10 million plus applications and are at 200 plus MRR. So to begin with, let's talk about their story. Initially, they raised $3 million in funding for a previous idea called Hoodle, which obviously didn't work out, but it was a social commerce platform for small group video calls with brands and experts. As you can see, it never took off, so they pivoted. But they got a lot of pressure from their VCs, and so they had to make something work, which was when the spark happened. So the idea initially came when GPT-3 had just launched, and an engineer suggested to use GPT to fill out job applications. And Dan hated the idea at first. You know, his initial reaction was that this was the most dumbest idea ever, and that no one would want that, which obviously he was wrong. But you can see the timeline here. GPT-3 actually came out in 2020 in May, but the API became publicly available in November of 2021. And so as we covered, they had to make something work, which is why he initially did a test on LinkedIn. So, you know, despite his skepticism, Dan posted the idea on LinkedIn. And at the time, he only had like 500 connections, but the post absolutely exploded. You know, he got like 8 million impressions and 5K comments, which by the way, I think is across a couple of posts because this is the initial post, which only has like 3K. But yeah, I mean, the signal was undeniable. The pain point was real. And what they did is just a simple post where they mentioned the idea here and then drop your email below for beta access. And all of these people put their email in the comments, which obviously drove engagement. So yeah, they went straight into build mode and they spent the next 2 months building the first version of Massive. And when they launched, Massive had a massive waitlist, pun intended, and they got like 40 to 50K signups, but only 0.5% converted to paying. And so the lesson here from him was that waitlists are useless. And so the initial launch was pretty much a flop, which is why he spent the next couple of months just doing pure hustle and manual outreach to actually get the first paying users in the door. You know, he scraped Hacker News emails manually and they grew the revenue to 20K MRR, but almost ran out of money. And so his key takeaway was that you shouldn't overvalue interests or waitlist signups. You have to instead, of course, validate with real payments, even for a, you know, small scrappy version. And also this is when the messaging Tinder for jobs clicked immediately, you know, not AI job autopilot, which brings us to onboarding. And they both have an iOS app, but also a web app. And yeah, they basically have the same questions for both of them, but in just a bit of a different order, which is interesting. They use a known onboarding tactic in the SaaS space, giving people a long list of onboarding questions before hitting them with the paywall here. And what this does is it boosts conversions a lot because it gets people invested before actually seeing it, instead of just charging them from the App Store or once they open the app. You know, making them answer 15 questions definitely will boost the conversion. Obviously, you will get drop-offs, but the ones that actually go through are way more likely to actually convert into paying. And so, yeah, the onboarding questions, I won't go into too much detail. You can either pause the video here or just click the link in the description to access this Miro board yourself. But yeah, they ask, you know, are you looking for a job? What's most important in a job? Have you tried other job search apps? Basically just find their pain, make it a bit personalized. What's your minimum annual base salary, the job location. And then, of course, they warm the user up by putting all these stats in here, basically showing them the value in the app. But the real difference from the app and the web app is the paywall, where in the mobile app, they charge either $40 a month or $90 a quarter with a 3-day free trial. But on the web app, they charge $59 a month or $149 for a quarter, which is basically like a 25% increase. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. They've probably tested this a lot. And I imagine the reason for this is because the people that actually go to the web app have a higher buying intent. Meanwhile, the people that come to the app are probably more younger demographics, like college students looking for a job. They maybe came from a TikTok video. And but nonetheless, pretty interesting. And then on the web app, they also have an upsell. So once you sign up and log in, you receive this screen and you're prompted to book a session, one-on-one session, for $299. And they'll tell you that you land interviews 2x faster with this. You get personalized help directly from Massive's founder. LinkedIn audits, profile optimization, custom job search plan, all of this. They probably also have an upsell on iOS, although I can't confirm this because the app is only available in the US and Canada, and I'm not there. So I don't know for a fact, but yeah. Now, let's move on to their marketing. They've used 3 main pillars when it comes to marketing: influencers, paid ads, and UGC. So to begin with influencers, they tested influencer partnerships with career coach and job advice creators on TikTok and Instagram. The results were good for awareness, but conversions remained unreliable. Audiences were often misaligned with the buying intent, so they haven't doubled down on this. What has worked best for them is UGC and paid ads. So when it comes to UGC, they pump out a lot of content, and they use a proven winning formula for UGC that most apps use today. It's the same formula that, Cal AI and all of the big apps are using, which is basically a hook in the beginning, then a promo in the middle, and then reward at the end. And you can see all of these videos have that formula. There's a hook here. This guy is super energized and screaming out of his lungs, not finding a job. And then he does find a job and plugs the Massive app and then closes the video with some rewards. And the same goes with this one, AI to auto apply to jobs and auto edit your resume. And of course, she plugs it, shows the Massive website, and then she has a reward at the end telling them to try it for free in the link in the bio. So yeah, all of these videos have this same format. And down here, you can see some results. Some of them have performed pretty well. 5.8 million, 100K, 1 million, 300K, 800K. And from what I've seen, their UGC creators generally fall into these 3 categories. The first one being creators with a college student following. And then you have recruiters or tips and tricks. And then AI tips creators as well. But I did want to mention one pretty interesting insight, which is this hook right here. Stop using LinkedIn to apply to jobs. And they've used this a lot, but one key insight is that when they used Indeed versus LinkedIn, they barely had any conversion. Their most viral video, which got like 11 million plus views, they barely had any conversion because it hit the wrong audience. And so what they found is that using LinkedIn is way better than Indeed. And another pretty interesting insight is this guy called Career Dave. This is one of Massive's competitors called Source, and he basically cracked a winning formula when it comes to UGC. So he's consistently gone viral with this idea. And it's basically 2 phases in the hook, and then a really authentic discovery vibe. He basically starts off by talking himself here, and then shows off his friend on the site, and then flips his camera, shows the computer, and it's really authentic. Yeah, I'll actually show you guys one of his videos. Let me copy paste this here. So yeah, this is his account, and I'll play one of his most viral videos here.
How do we explain to our parents that we are applying to jobs? In fact, I've applied to hundreds. I spent hours applying to jobs. And it's to the point where the market is so bad that, look what he found. He found this app where you just upload your resume and it just shows you jobs. And when you swipe right, AI applies on the company website for you. You just swipe right and it just does the whole form for you. You can apply to like 100 jobs in literally like 10 minutes. It's insane. How do we explain to our parents?
So you can see it's super authentic. It doesn't look scripted at all, but obviously it's scripted to a T. All of this is engineered. But yeah, just found it super interesting that this guy has cracked it consistently. 3.8, 13.9, couple of 100,000, 2.6 million, 1.6, 900K, 500, 600, you get the deal. And so when it comes to paid ads, this is their fastest testing loop. Obviously with paid ads, you can validate hooks and creatives much quicker than waiting for influencers or organic. And the founder said that ads combined with pricing tweaks doubled their revenue. So when it comes to platforms, Meta Ads has been the winner. It's been more consistent with ROI. And what they found is that older audiences convert better. Even with fewer downloads, they still got more revenue. And here you can see two examples I saw they were running on Meta Ads library. But I noticed they're only running these two ads, which was interesting. Now, with TikTok ads, the founder said that it was great for reach, but conversions were unstable. So now, here are some things that I would do to scale Massive to 300 to 400K MRR. First of all, I would refine the audience targeting a bit more. I would double down on Meta Ads, target, older, higher income job seekers. Because yeah, like I mentioned, they're only running 2 ads on Meta right now, which probably there is a reason for that. And then on top of that, I would also focus more on Facebook content organic to, like I said, capture that older demographic who spend more time on Facebook. And then I would avoid overusing UGC creators with college student audiences because Dan himself, he admitted that they don't convert that well. So I don't really understand why, he keeps using this guy, for example, that has more of a college following. And then I would also implement a referral program, basically give users rewards, discounts, free trial extensions, or, extra applications when they successfully invite a friend who subscribes. This, of course, boosts word of mouth. Now, when it comes to pricing, I would place a higher price anchor to make the quarterly plan feel like more of a no-brainer, more than just a 25% discount. When you look at the big apps, they all use a huge price anchor. So, for example, Kyle.ai, they provide you with a 80 or 90% discount when it comes to the yearly plan. Obviously, the price here on this app is higher than Kyle.ai. But yeah, I would increase this a bit and then also show them how much of a discount they're getting with the quarterly plan. For example, I would possibly go up to 45 or 49 and then display this as a monthly. So $29.99 a month for 3 months instead of showing $90, which seems a lot. And then to even get more conversions, I would test a one-time offer or like a extra discount after they commit to the quarterly plan. So before activating the trial and typing in the credit card info. Basically what I mean by this is once they click this button here, it goes to another page and shows you like, oh, one-time offer, you would go down to $80 or whatever, have it a bit less so it seems like more of a bargain because a lot of people drop off when you go to this page here and are forced to pay. So having that extra screen will most likely result in a higher conversion. And then when it comes to the content and brand, I would focus on building an evergreen brand because anyone can come in right now, basically clone this app and outdo them because they're basically just using UGC and influencers, which is great and all, it gets you far, but you don't want to be borrowing an audience forever, which is basically what you're doing when you're using UGC and paid ads. So what I would do is I would focus on long-form YouTube content with massive value, career tips, resume help, interview prep, without selling anything. I mean, just think about YC's channel or Y Combinator. They put out such good quality content on YouTube. And so they build a trusted audience, which as a result, they get thousands of applicants each year. So you want a loyal user base to your brands. And also think, Nike, Apple, all of those. And then to end it off, I would expand the product a bit. I would add an AI interview prep feature, basically to simulate real job interviews with AI avatars asking company-specific questions. This is not only valuable, but also super viral and shareable. So the marketing would go insane with this. So yeah, that's my breakdown of Massive. I really hope you found value in this video. And if you want my help scaling your SaaS, then feel free to book a call down below. And yeah, I would love to chat. Thanks so much.